my name is Bahanur Nasya. I'm head of organizations in Wonderland, and we have been doing projects throughout Europe with a lot of communities, no matter urban, rural, small towns, big cities like Paris or Amsterdam. So there are certain difficulties if you start a project. We never had the situation that there were no ideas. There are always ideas how to do things or what to improve, or at least wishes. And still our environment looks like it looks. And some of us gets frustrated about the situation, that there are no opportunities and so on. So we are now in a phase where we not try to only listen to the communities, to the initiatives, to the experts, architects, artists, associations, and so on, what they want to do, but we want to. We also try to collect examples how things can be done. How can we solve those bottlenecks? How can we impasse those bottlenecks? The two bottlenecks which come everywhere, no matter if we are in Albania, no matter if we are in Britain or Sweden and so on. One is funding, and the second thing is what everyone forgets about is management, governance. How do I make this initiative, this project, and so on sustainable, that it can carry on? So those examples which I will be presenting now are not exactly the size or scheme what we have in Peja, but I think there are key learning points which should or could help you to think about the processes, how to evolve the situation in, or develop the situation in Peja. So even though we have here the cases that everything happens in one building, try to think with the examples what Silvia gave to you, that those functions, those organizations could be everywhere in the Peja region. But still, you would be united because you would be the Peja region as a whole community. So the first example is Cascina Roccafranca in Turin. It's obviously a city, and it's a heritage building from production, industrial heritage. And the interesting part here was that people were unsatisfied in the 90s already about the situation, about factories being closed and not having opportunities. And this is, I think, a kind of like the link to your region. You have unsatisfied people because they don't have opportunities. And what the heritage can give in such a situation is the kind of the housing for your ideas, and kind of like the frame to develop your activities and so on. So in Cascina Roccafranca, you had these unsatisfied people who were expressing also with activism and so on their situation, and the municipality started to bring them together and giving them the possibility as a place possibility to do different activities. So you have 90% of all activities done in Cascina Roccafranca are independent associations. It's not a museum which organizes, which programs and so on. Only 10% is programmed. Everything else comes bottom up from the people. And additionally, they have also collaboration with the municipality. So the aim was from the beginning to bind with a participative planning process, to bring these energies, these unsatisfied energies, in a process where they can be productive, creative, and solve and bring ideas how to change things. So 1997, they started to bring those people together, decide, bring ideas on the table, program. 2002, 5-6 years later, they bought the building. So it was a factory building, and then it was bought by the municipality, so that you have also a feeling how long those processes can dure. And then 2006, the foundation was founded, and the aim by contract is not to create profit. Everything which is surplus, which is profit, has to be invested again into the building, into the community, into the activities. There are hundreds of activities which are free, open for everyone. And the main point is to utilize the energy of being together, thinking together, create together, and produce together. So the expenses of around 250,000 euros are paid by the rents. So sometimes they rent the space out for events, or there is a cafe which pays a rent, and so on. So the economic model is not made to make a profit once more. It's made to sustain all those social activities, to give the space to all those people. And as a side effect, even though the project itself does not profit, you have activated a lot of people who can create an economy. And in this case, we have 770,000 economic value per year through all those organizations and events. Another example, so the first example is kind of like, there was, of course, the critical mass who wanted to do something about their future. And it's more top down, because the municipality bought the building, and they also programmed or guided the process. In this case, in Largo Residencia in Lisbon, we have totally the situation that it's a bottom-up initiative. So you have in the beginning a core group of people who want to change something. They are not happy about the situation again. They want to change something. And it's after the financial crisis in 2008. Lisbon slowly gets recognized with tourism and so on. It makes the field for local people more difficult. This was a brothel. That means people working here, living next to there, are gentrified through processes if you want to bring their hotels, expensive shops, and so on. So you have a vulnerable group in your community who will be endangered actually by this development. And this is in most cities, most places who try to develop touristic models. It's the same, because you have high paying people for the same thing, and the regular residents can't afford it. So in this case, we have the initiative who wanted to change something for the better for the local people. And their model was to create a hostel. So you have the second and the third floor as a hostel. And you have an artist in residency model where people outside of Lisbon come. And their only obligation is they have to engage with the public and create something, address the issues in the area. So you get kind of like the input from outside of Lisbon in your case, in your situation, and then you start a kind of a debate, a discussion through your arts work, festivals, and so on. And there is a cafe, there is a record store, and so on, but it's a small scale thing. So we are really talking about, you see the other buildings are at least double so high, and by now all the street is full with hotels and Airbnb. But this one building with the community, employing people who are vulnerable in the building, remains as an identity giver for the whole district. So you have a lot of activities, like you have radio shows, you have the community center where people come, learn some skills. You have activities like concerts. You have a cafe which is free and you can donate when you consume something. So it's really open for everyone. And this is actually also the picture. We don't see so much what's on the left side, but we can kind of say the regular business model attracts less people. So we have only one person sitting at the table. And this community center thingy where you have the cafe where you donate, where you can also bring your own food and still sit outside on the table of the cafe, that attracts communities. That there people come, sit, meet others, and so on. So I think this is the most important thing to consider in our workshop. How do we create benefits for the community, and what are the needs of the community? What do we have to keep in mind and program in our touristic activities? And the financial model is simple. With all the income, a little bit from cafe, from the hostel and so on, you pay the rent and the workers, and you have anyway a lot of artists and so on, which who contribute voluntarily because they appreciate this exchange model where they get inspired by the people, they get the sounds, colors, and so on. So it's a different kind of win-win situation than what Dietmar will be presenting. And all those cases, there are many. Don't be scared about the sizes and the forms of those heritage buildings. Try to look a little bit into the models, the processes. What can we really learn from those and transfer to Peja? There are 16 cases who are analyzed deeply in our Open Heritage project. You can find them on openheritage.eu. So also there are videos which are maybe a good appetizer to get familiar with the cases. A last thing, because Virtit was saying in the last meeting, there is a communication issue. There is a little bit confusion about what people want and can, and where we see good opportunities, but we don't manage to get along, get together, and develop a program. In Austria, there is an organization, a sister organization, let's say, Landluft, and they are specialized on development of rural area, little towns, villages, and so on. And I think since 2008 or so, they started to do to give a prize. And the main point of the prize is to engage, to motivate people to develop their surrounding, their villages and so on, in a sustainable way, in a good cultural way. And they value the participative process of developing buildings, functions, centers of those villages and so on. So it's every 2 years, but I think it works wonders because, first of all, you define for the population, for those villages and so on, achievable goals, and you have a prize. So this is a motivation because you can win something. We all want to win something, no? As a child, we are trained already to like to win. So it gives a motivator, and it gives you also possibility to measure your impact or your work. So you can highlight the scenario you want. And because Birgit, you were mentioning that the tourist guide model from Japan would be so good in Peja. So by saying this kind of guides we want to have and giving a price for this, you define this is our goal, and probably you would give them also some consultancies and tools to develop that kind of guide, and then you give them a price. So you make the whole process transparent, achievable, and doable for regular citizens. We think this could be a model, a tool which could be employed in the Peja region as well, because by doing this, you highlight the people who are doing good. You can engage them to empower, inspire next generations, and it can be working as a multiplier. And with the prizes, you also have the possibility to find other resources. So next to publicity and all those kind of benefits of a prize, you may also gain private investors' support in financial kickstarting some of your projects. So this is something which we thought could be beneficial to keep in mind when we go into the workshop to think a little bit out of the box.